Hello everyone, welcome aboard Submarine BECUNA here at Independence Seaport Museum in Philadelphia. My name is Greg, and on today's video we'll be discussing the Navy's GUPPY program, including what its goals were, how BECUNA played a part in that program, and what it meant overall for submarine development. Welcome to Deep Dives. GUPPY is an acronym. It stands for Greater Underwater Propulsion Power. The Y doesn't actually stand for anything. It was added to the acronym for the sake of pronounceability. The Navy initiated the GUPPY program following World War II by testing and reverse engineering two captured German Type 21 U-boats, U-2513 and U-3008. What they determined from these examinations laid the groundwork for the GUPPY program and included four major goals: increasing submerged battery capacity, streamlining boats' structures, adding snorkels, and improving fire control systems. The Navy wanted to design a brand new class of boats to meet these goals, but the Bureau of Ships determined that existing Gato, Baleo, and Tench-class submarines could be modified to meet them instead. In June of 1946, Chief of Naval Operations Chester Nimitz gave the go-ahead and officially launched the GUPPY program, with Portsmouth Naval Shipyard taking the lead. The first two submarines to undergo transformation as part of the GUPPY program were USS Odax and USS Pomadon. Together, they would be the GUPPY 1 boats. Upgrades for the GUPPY 1s were completed by 1947. These included streamlined superstructure and hull, and enclosing the periscope and mast supports. To further increase hydrodynamics, one periscope and all deck guns were removed. The distinctive bullnose, common to all fleet boats, was replaced with a rounded GUPPY bow, and all capstans, cleats, and rail stanchions were redesigned to be either retractable or removable when rigging for dive. An SV radar aerial was also added to the top of the newly termed sail, providing the distinctive side bulge. Internally, both boats underwent considerable reconfiguration in order to accommodate extra battery wells. These battery wells replaced storage, ammunition, and refrigeration spaces, and were equipped with the brand new GUPPY battery design. Compared to the old Sargo design, GUPPY batteries utilized more lead plates per cell, and those lead plates were thinner than the lead plates in the Sargo battery. This allowed for higher current over a longer period of time. The trade-off, however, was that the GUPPY batteries took longer to charge and had a significantly shorter lifespan than their Sargo counterparts, 18 months compared to 5 years. Back in the maneuvering room, the high-speed motors and reduction gears were replaced with low-speed motors that could operate at a wider range of rotations per minute without the need for the reduction gear system. Lighting and the rest of the hotel load were converted to operate on 120 volt 60 Hz alternating current, and ship's electronics to operate on 120 volt 400 Hz alternating current. But perhaps the biggest upgrade was the installation of a new air conditioning system whose efficiency far surpassed the old one. The end result of the GUPPY 1 program was a successful proof of concept. With all of her upgrades, Pomadon was able to increase her maximum submerged speed to 18.2 knots, a 108% speed increase over her original max submerged speed of 8.75 knots. Odax was equally successful, able to increase her maximum submerged speed to just over 16 knots. What followed was the GUPPY 2 program, implemented between 1947 and 1951. The GUPPY 2 program was generally similar to the GUPPY 1 program, but allowed for the retention of both periscopes instead of just the one, as well as the addition of the newly perfected snorkel system. The snorkel system required two new masts to be installed, one for the intake and one for the exhaust. Coupled with the addition of the new electronic countermeasures mast, GUPPY 2 boats had three brand new masts that needed to be fitted into their streamlined sails. This meant that their sails needed more room in their upper portions. The Bureau of Ships authorized two brand new sail designs. The first was the electric boat sail. It had a straight trailing edge, a wide top, round windows, and a rounder forward edge. The Portsmouth sail, by comparison, had a curved trailing edge, a narrower top, square windows, and a sharper, lower forward edge. Some boats outfitted with the Portsmouth sail also had SV radars that required an extra bulge at the top of the sail. Portsmouth sails were given to any boat converted using the government plans for conversion, while the electric boat sail was given to any boat converted with Electric Boat Company's plans. Both Odax and Pompidon, the Guppy 1 boats, were eventually reconfigured to Guppy 2 standards. In 1951, the Bureau of Ships initiated the Guppy 1A program as a cheaper alternative to the Guppy 2 program. The Guppy 1A program provided largely the same improvements as the Guppy 2 program, with the exception of the 4 battery well upgrade and the extensive internal reconfiguration that went along with it. Instead, Guppy 1A boats retained their original 2 battery wells, but were equipped with the brand new Sargo Type 2 battery. Compared to the Guppy battery, the Sargo 2 was a cheaper alternative, but offered comparable performance. They ended up as intermediaries between the Guppy battery and the Sargo 1 battery, falling between both in almost every category from size to lifespan. The final alteration Guppy 1A boats received was shifting the sonar room from the forward torpedo room to a space below the mess deck. Overall, Guppy 1A boats provided a lower cost, better habitability for crews, and were easier to maintain compared to Guppy 2 boats. However, this came at the cost of reduced underwater performance. Our very own Submarine BECUNA is the last example of a Guppy 1A boat in existence. Her maximum submerged speed was about 15 knots, when most Guppy 2s were making at least 16. The Guppy 2A program succeeded the Guppy 1A program. Implemented between 1952 and 1954, the Guppy 2A program largely received the same upgrades as the Guppy 1A program, but addressed the continuing issue of habitability by removing one of the forward main diesel engines and replacing it with pumps and air conditioning machinery. Other notable changes included moving the high-pressure air compressors to the lower level of the forward engine room and shifting the sonar room to the forward end of the pump room. When the Navy realized it would not be able to fund all the Guppy conversions it desired, it created the Fleet Snorkel program as a way to get the minimum number of upgrades onto its fleet boats required to maintain the overall goals of the Guppy program. These upgrades included the titular snorkel system, a streamlined sail, improved air conditioning units and better electrical systems, as well as the removal of the auxiliary diesel engine and all deck guns. Unlike other Guppy conversions, Fleet Snorkel boats maintained their original battery configuration, their original superstructure design, as well as the bullnose bow. Submerged performance for Fleet Snorkel boats was the worst of any Guppy iteration. However, this did not keep them from serving just as long, if not longer than, more modern Guppy conversions, with many seeing service in foreign navies. Guppy 1B was an informal designation applied to 4 boats as they received limited upgrades in preparation for transfer to foreign navies. These boats received a snorkel and a streamlined sail and were otherwise upgraded similarly to Guppy 1A boats, but did not receive improved sonar, fire control systems, or electronic countermeasures. The 4 boats labeled Guppy 1B were USS Hawkbill and Icefish, which were transferred to the Royal Netherlands Navy in 1953, and USS Barb and Dace, which were transferred to the Italian Marina Militare in 1954 and 1955, respectively. Guppy 3 is the final iteration of the Guppy program. The Navy created it in order to address the cramped conditions found aboard Guppy 2 boats that resulted from the installation of 2 extra battery wells. USS Tiru prototyped the configuration in 1959. The boat was cut in half and had a 12.5-foot section installed just forward of her control room. This section provided extra space for a new sonar room, as well as extra crew berthing, storage, and electronics. Similar to the Guppy 2A boats, she also had one of her forward engines removed. Between 1961 and 1963, 8 more Guppy 2 boats were upgraded to Guppy 3 standard. These boats differed from the Tiru design, however, in that their extra section was 15 feet long as opposed to 12.5, and they were allowed to keep all 4 of their main diesel engines. All Guppy 3 boats received the distinctive North Atlantic sail, as opposed to the more traditional step sail found on prior Guppy conversions. The North Atlantic sail was made out of plastic as opposed to steel or aluminum, and raised the height of the open-air bridge so that it could be manned in more severe weather. Fire control upgrades included the Mark 101 fire control system as well as the Mark 37 torpedo director. These upgrades granted Guppy 3 boats the capability of firing the Mark 45 nuclear warhead-armed torpedo. The Guppy 3 program was billed as part of the Fleet Rehabilitation and Modernization Program, or FRAM, which was intended to extend the lives of World War II airships and submarines. All 24 Guppy 2 boats were slated to receive Guppy 3 modifications. However, budget restrictions ultimately constrained the program to just 9 boats. Despite their extensive modifications, Guppy 3 boats only managed to serve slightly longer than the rest of the Guppy fleet. Most of them were decommissioned by 1973. BECUNA, by comparison, a Guppy 1A boat, left service just 4 years prior in 1969. The final Guppy 3 boat to be decommissioned was, perhaps fittingly, the boat that prototyped the configuration. USS Tiru was decommissioned on July 1st, 1975, bringing an end not only to the Guppy era, but to the era of the fleet boat as well. Well, that does it for this deep dive. If you enjoyed the video, let us know by liking and sharing it. Then drop down to the comments section and leave us suggestions on topics you'd like to see us cover in future videos. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.